Good morning. Welcome to Monday, the 8th of February 2021's reading lesson. We are going to be working on an extract this week, a non-fiction extract, and our target today is a vocabulary focus. It is I can understand and explain the meaning of words in context. So we finished Stormbreaker. Before we move on to another novel, we are going to do a week of non-fiction and then a week of poetry. So this is our non-fiction week. In your packs, you will find a text that has the title, Should Animals Be Kept in Zoos? So get that out, have a look at it, and without reading it, so don't read it yet, just have a look. What type of text do you think this is? And this one's actually quite a tricky one to be able to guess. But do you think it's a letter? Do you think it's poetry? What do you think it is? Our text for this week is actually a monologue, and we are going to read through it together. And as I read, you should be underlining or highlighting any words you're unsure of and any phrases that show how the author's feeling, because they'll probably help us in lessons to come. Should animals be kept in zoos? Should animals be kept in zoos? Our teacher asked us that question last week, and I'm still not sure how I feel about it. I visited the zoo a while ago, and it wasn't exactly what you'd call thrilling. The tiger was asleep, the alligator didn't bother to come out of its water, and don't get me started on the rhinos. But I did notice that each animal had a display outside of its enclosure that gave information about their habitat, diet, and country of origin. There was also a scale that showed how endangered they are in the wild. So many of the animals were classified as vulnerable, endangered, or, even worse, critically endangered. How have we got to a point where so many amazing creatures are at risk? Surely everybody can see how unacceptable that is. One of the things that lots of zoos do well is to create breeding programs for these animals. That seems like a great reason for keeping them open and for making them a home for some of the most endangered animals. These places seem to be one of the only chances these animals have. Imagine if we'd had these places when the dodo was alive, or the woolly rhino, or the giant ground sloth. Would the woolly mammoth still be stomping around today if there had been a zoo to help them breed? On the other hand, there are places out there that aren't concerned about animal welfare at all. All they are bothered about is making money. I've seen them on the news, with animals trapped in tiny cages or bare enclosures. What can we do about these places? Is it education? If they are told how to do it properly, will they? Or don't they care? Sure, zoos are better now than they once were. In fact, one of the very last dodos on Earth died in a zoo in the 17th century. Animals are still mistreated across the world in places that don't care enough. This is a good argument for closing them all down, but you have to ask yourself, what chance do the animals have in the wild if we do that? There is a strong argument that the money which zoos spend would be far more effective if it was spent on conservation in the animals' own countries of origin. We might be better conserving tigers in Siberia than we are in a zoo in England. On the other hand, most of the money that zoos spend comes from people paying to visit these animals. If the animals go, will the money disappear as well? I suppose that there are definitely good arguments against keeping animals in captivity, especially those that aren't endangered in the wild. However, there are equally good points that support using zoos, the good ones at least, as part of our conservation efforts. In a perfect world, we'd all learn to respect and conserve habitats, and the existence of each and every species of living creature would be prioritised. Then, zoos wouldn't be needed at all. So, if you've underlined any words there, you now need to use an online dictionary and find out what they mean. You might want to read back through that by yourself again and get it really clear in your head what the message is from the author. How do you think they feel? And then you will start today's task, which is a vocabulary focus, remember. And this is in the back of your pink jotter, just the same as before. Number 1. Can you find a synonym? And remember, a synonym is a word that means the same, but it's a different word. Can you find a synonym for exciting in the text? So go to your text, find another word that means exciting. Number 2, can you define welfare, please? And finally, in paragraph 2, which definition best matches scale? So find scale in paragraph 2, read the context in which it's written, and what does scale mean here? Does it mean A, plates protecting the skin of fish and reptiles, typically overlapping one another? Is that scales? Does it mean B, an instrument for weighing? Or does it mean C, a system for measuring or grading something? So find it in the text and see which one is the correct definition. Good luck with that, Year 5, and I'll see you tomorrow.